Books. We have sci-fi, fantasy, adventure, and mystery. Sometimes we find that one book that lets us forget ourselves. Or better yet, find ourselves. Out of thousands of books, how can we possibly choose one to read? Most of us, whether we know it or not, start by looking at the cover. Some covers are fancy, and it's clear lots of effort and money have been put into them. Other books have low-budget covers that are starting to peel at the corners and their spines are breaking. The Outsiders takes place in the 60s and is narrated by the character Ponyboy, a 14-year-old greaser. In the 60s, there were two distinct groups. There were the greasers and the socias. The socias had money, and the greasers didn't. I read about Ponyboy's heartbreaking story, narrating what it is like being an outsider. I read about how he was looked down upon in school because he was smart but didn't look like it. The rumble between the socias and the greasers. The abuse. The hate. I read about how Johnny died and how Dally killed himself. Johnny was Ponyboy's friend and was described as a puppy who had been kicked too many times. His parents had beaten him, and that wasn't the end of the abuse. One day, Johnny had been beat almost to the point of death by a bunch of socias. He was never the same after that. Johnny and Ponyboy were attacked once again, and Johnny killed a soc in self-defense. He and Ponyboy ran away and hid inside an old church. One day, the church was on fire, and Johnny lost his life saving children who were trapped inside.
And this was a shock to everybody. A greaser, a common thug, saving children?
While we no longer have socias and greasers, we do still have a divide between the classes, and we still judge each other based on this. This is extremely apparent, especially in a city like Toronto. The amount of money we have does open up more opportunities, but The Outsiders teaches us that the amount of money we have does not change how compassionate we are, what music we listen to, books we like to read, and other things that make us human. The real magic of The Outsiders is reading about how even after Ponyboy has been a victim of so much hate, he learns that not all socks are jerks and not all greasers are cruel.
You read a lot, don't you, Ponyboy? Cherry asked. I was startled. Yeah, why? She kind of shrugged. I could just tell. I bet you watch sunsets too. She was quiet for a moment after I nodded. I used to watch them too before I got so busy. I pictured that, or tried to. I shook my head. It seemed funny to me that the sunset she saw from her back patio and the one I saw from my back steps were the same one. Maybe our two different worlds we lived in weren't so different. We saw the same sunset.
Money is not a reason to discriminate or hate. All of this made me think about books again. I realized that we aren't so different from books. We're all judged on our covers. The Outsiders is an amazing book, and I sat there trying to figure out how I could portray such a powerful message into a simple book report. So I started like this. Books. We have sci-fi,